Hello, hello, and welcome to episode 28 of Inside the Video Store. Must get this chair oiled. It is episode 28. I frequently got it wrong last week, stating it was episode 26. But I got lots of things wrong last week, like saying Kill Bill was made in 2009 and a Shaw Brothers film that I mangled the title of quite spectacularly. But if there's one guarantee in Inside the Video Store is that somewhere, sometime, I will get something very, very wrong indeed. It's been a good week. It's an exciting week. We've got a national newspaper doing a really interesting feature on the store. They've been in contact over the last week, gradually piecing it together. They're doing a really interesting spin, to be honest, whereby they're looking at the explosion of Gen Z customers, those people 18 to 30, kind of, roughly, who have suddenly started, heading down to the movie rental store and renting physical media. So that's the spin. A handful of my customers have been ridiculously cooperative by giving their time up to speak to the journalist who is writing the piece. Thank them beyond belief, because this article will reach some folk who don't know about this place, and should be really exciting. But yeah, that should be in one of the newspapers, one of the national newspapers, sometime in the next week. Check out my Twitter and store's Facebook and Instagram for links when it does. But yeah, it's really, really exciting. Second national newspaper article in a year, in 6 months, which is mega, considering we kind of drifted under the radar for so long. To get such exposure is really, really cool. But it's all down to those people who volunteered yesterday to chat with this journo. And tomorrow's the big day. We've got a newspaper photographer coming in, and we've all got to assemble and pose for pictures, which will be cool. And it's nice to see these guys, getting featured in the newspaper and speaking passionately about why they come here. It's really exciting. So that is very, very cool indeed. Other piece of cool news this week is that merch is gradually getting into a position where it can be launched. It's still a good few weeks off, but I'm just kind of road testing a few things at the moment. This is an exclusive. This is an Inside the Video Store exclusive. This is the one of the designs. I think there will be 5 or 6 different designs that you can choose from with regard to t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, stickers, badges, bags, the works, and this is one of them. This is a brilliant design. I think it's absolutely fantastic. It was designed by my nephew Casper, who took time out. He designs the backdrops for a lot of the gigs. He's just working on the Oasis tour at the moment, designing the backdrops for that. And past year he's done Dua Lipa, Arctic Monkeys and stuff like that. So for him to break away to do a very tidy design for his uncle, I am very, very grateful for. So that's one of the designs. That's the first design. And it looks cool. I mean, just this mug has just arrived in the post this morning. It's really top quality. It's not cheap, but we'll see. I'm still road testing a few different suppliers and a few different websites from where you can order this stuff from. So that'll take me about the next 3 or 4 weeks just to figure out which offers the best value for money, which is the most reliable, and which brings the most quality to the brand as well. So we'll have a look at that, and when it's ready, you will be the first to know. So yeah, there are 2 pieces of news that I wanted to get out the way first. Both very exciting. And yeah, let's go on with some films. What have we got in this week? We have a stack of new releases, which is a bit of a different week for new releases. We have some cool on loan films just over there. We have a delivery from Vinegar Syndrome and their partners. Oh, and the third piece of news is the Severin order has shipped. Amazing. Still, it doesn't make up for it. It's still a pretty shoddy experience. But still, it is shipped and it should be arriving in store either Friday or Monday from FedEx. So that'll be great, and that, of course, will form the basis of next week's show. There's a wealth of exciting material to discover in them. Anyway, let's crack on. Let's dispense with the waffle. Let's have a look at this week's arrivals on DVD and Blu-ray. It's a weird week. Normally we would have a vast majority of boutique releases, but there's only one this week. And normally next week would be the key boutique release. And it is. There's still about 8 boutique releases out next week. But I've noticed that a few of them have kind of vanished and been put back. I think 88 have run into a bit of difficulty with their release schedule. So I think the Guts trilogy has gone back a good few weeks. I think the erotic love story, maybe, has gone back a good few weeks as well, and the Radiance title as well has gone back a few weeks. But there's still some good stuff coming in from Indicator and the BFI next week, so check out that. But as for this week, we have Bad Boys, What You Gonna Do, which I believe is the vernacular. We have Bad Boys, the third film, is it? Ride or Die. That is in stock this week, 3 copies of that, a blue and 2 DVDs. You will not be surprised to hear that I've never seen Bad Boys or Bad Boys 2. So I doubt very much I'll see Bad Boys 3. But nevertheless, hopefully this is one blockbuster that gets the regular punters coming in this week. Hopefully. But if not, there's still plenty more to choose from. This looks really, really interesting. It's released over here by Curzon, who do have a very sort of art house flavoured release, but this is a sort of pregnancy parasomnia kind of film from Korea that looks very, very interesting. It's called Sleep, and it's got a quote on the front cover from Bong Joon-ho, the director of Parasite, of course, and many, many more, who says it's really, really effective. So yeah, this should be a good little horror film, and great to get some Asian horror in at long last. We've missed it. We have missed it. Next up, out from Dazzler this week, we have Funny Birds, which, kind of looks like your people-pleasing drama set in New Jersey. Catherine Deneuve, Andrea Riseborough, and Morgan Saylor is in it. And yeah, this will have broad appeal to a number of people. I do have quite a few older customers who might go for this, and it looks like a good Sunday afternoon movie. So yeah. Next up, we have a couple of movies that kind of would have fitted into the video store about 15 years ago. Now, though, I'm not sure. Car alarm, thank you. If they have the same appeal. First up, we have Wallasey's Finest. For those of you who don't know, Wallasey is just a few miles down the road. Wallasey's Finest, Mr. Dominic Purcell. I haven't seen him in a good while. Starring Prison Break, of course. He's in this with Mel Gibson. Surprisingly, you may be shocked to hear that these two guys don't feature in this film that prominently. But nevertheless, it's called Confidential Informant, and I think we've abandoned making synopses kind of last for longer than one sentence. But yeah, it looks alright, but reviews are pretty shocking, to be honest. But we'll see. Confidential Informant with Mel Gibson and Dominic Purcell. Or is it Purcell? I'd say Purcell. Next up, now this is interesting. This is interesting because if you read about a Philip Noyce film with Pierce Brosnan 20 years ago, you would probably be very, very excited indeed. Philip Noyce, of course, a storied director with a whole gaggle of hits under his belt. And this looks interesting. This is the last film, I'm guessing, for James Caan, who features in this. It looks like a decent little movie about a hitman who becomes a cropper and has to find the truth. Doesn't everyone have to find the truth in these movies? But yeah, that's Fast Charlie. It looks like a great direct-to-video movie that should do well, I reckon. Pierce Brosnan, always a favourite, at the video store. Now this is another cheeky one, I think. Body of Sin comes from High Flyers. High Flyers, one of my favourite car alarm. High Flyers, one of my favourite labels, simply because they release such tat. But in the past, they've released amazing films. They've really got one of the longest legacies still going in the UK of releasing films on home video. So it's good to see them still going. This is the latest. It's called Body of Sin. 18 certificate, but you will see that the feature classified 15, but overall certificate raised due to additional material. So they've slapped a trailer on this that probably raises the certificate to an 18. And yeah, I don't think the front cover is representative of the content within. I may be wrong on that. But still, it looks like an interesting kind of revenge film. Two women use seduction to steal from straying men. And then diamonds become involved in some capacity. It actually dates from 2017, but why not palm that off as a new release? Yeah, interesting to see if that one rents out. I don't think it will. I think that will be one of the films. And there are a couple, not many these days, that kind of sits on the new release shelf dormant for about 3 weeks, and then I stash it somewhere in the back, just in case. Because I hate to get rid of stuff. Because once you do get rid of stuff, it's so hard to get it back in, because some of these films have such low print runs. It's you're dicing with death. Not really. You're not dicing with death at all. But, figure of speech, you're dicing with death to get rid of stuff, and the fact that you might not see it again. Finally, a damaged slipcover. I should write and complain. We have the new release from Studio Canal Vintage Classics, which is Cage of Gold, with Gene Simmons, David Farrar, and James Donald, a 1950 drama from Ealing Studios, directed by Basil Dearden. That's a pedigree and a half, isn't it? So yeah, that is a new film from Studio Canal Vintage Classics. Another Blu-ray from them, steadily coming in. I must create more space for them next year, which I'll do in the spring. Spring is time to increase space, build shelving, and change the direction of where things are. But like a supermarket, people come in for films and everything's moved around. Before you know it, Goodfellas is in with his cucumbers, or in the frozen section. You don't know where you are. Looking for pasta. All you can find is Pasolini. So yeah, Cage of Gold in on Blu-ray. That is this week's new release. It's a bit of a motley crew, but next week should be maybe the same in quantity, but a bit more in quality. Next up, we have some on loans. Very tidy bunch as always. The lovely couple who took the vinyl documentary last week, Vinyl Nation, is it? They loved it, absolutely loved it. They've gone on to video stores this week, and like I said in the past, there are 3 video store documentaries out on Blu-ray this year. This is my favourite. Mom and Pop. It just captures everything better than the other 2 are great, really good indeed. But this one, yeah, just kind of pips them at the post. Released by Saturn's Core Home Video, and yeah, it's just a slightly better documentary, and more rounded and more kind of, yeah, it just tells a better story, got a better narrative to this one, and I liked it a great deal. So good to see that one going out. I mentioned a couple of weeks ago about the Whoopi Goldberg phenomenon, in that I had so few Whoopi Goldberg films in this store, which was a sacrilege, really, considering how many great comedies she made at the tail end of the 80s. I didn't have any of them in, so I got in Jumpin' Jack Flash, I got in Fatal Beauty, and I got in Homer and Eddie, and that has gone out on loan, which is great to see. And yeah, it's just great to see films from that era going out. And some people do love that era of comedy, that kind of 86 through to 89 thing, the whole John Hughes era. I think it resonates with a lot of people, even if this wasn't John Hughes by any means. But yeah, and staying with comedy, this hasn't been out in decades, but I have a soft spot for this. God, this chair. I used to. I watched it. It was on BBC One endlessly for me as a kid, and for some reason, whenever it was on, I watched it, just glued to it and laughing in hilarity at John Cleese, because it is a great British comedy. It is. It's absolutely fantastic, and it doesn't really get talked about all that much, does it? I don't think. Might be wrong, but no, I don't think it does. I know John Cleese has turned into a bit of an idiot lately, as do many old men. That's what happens. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm very, very funny, so I'm glad to see that one going out. Yeah. Celebration of Mads Mikkelsen this week. The great actor, isn't he? He is just an absolute force in Scandinavian cinema. And two of his films are out to two different customers. We have Another Round, which is just mega. What a mega film it is. Absolutely fantastic. Certainly one of the best foreign language films we've had in the last couple of years. And also The Hunt, which is just a staggering... Sorry, yawning. Bad manners. The Hunt, which is a staggering film. Can't believe it's 10 years old now. This was originally put out by Arrow Video back in 2013 when they did when Nordic noir was really a big thing for them. That was a really big cash cow for Arrow back in the day. But yeah, The Hunt was just a gripping thriller with a phenomenal storyline that kind of highlights the perils of small talk and small towns, and yeah, very good film indeed. Glad to see it going out again. I knew I would forget what this film was called. But you can look it up. You're stupid. One of my customers, James, was after some films set in... He's quite obsessed by the whole American thing where they do these haunted... It's kind of spreading to the UK, where they do these haunted houses that people can go and see around Halloween. Themed houses that people can go and visit. And there were two films that came out. I know the first one was directed by Bobby Rowe. It wasn't called The Houses of Halloween. It was called something else. The Houses October Built. The Houses October Built. It was released over here by Kaleidoscope. And it's a very good film. Very good little horror film. I do like this one a great deal. And the sequel to it, The Houses October Built 2, bizarrely, was released in this country under the title Blue Skeleton. No idea. So I sent both of these home to James, and hopefully he will like them. I get a kick out of these. I think they're great. So yeah, hopefully he'll like them. And of course, with a lot of sequels here, a lot of sequels at Snips, what I do is, just to save space, I stick them both in the same case. I know it's kind of a perilous thing to do, and I hate not having cover art on display, but unfortunately it's just one of the things you've got to do when you've got a library like this. So for example, if you were to pick up the Mangler, you'd have the Mangler 1, Mangler 2, Mangler 3 in the same case, and ditto. Maniac Cop, Maniac Cop 2, Maniac Cop 3. Although as a caveat, I have both the Mangler and the Maniac Cop films on Blu-ray. But yeah, for DVDs it was just made sense. Just made sense. Yeah. Now this is interesting. This film keeps on going out in America. It keeps on going out time after time after time, and that's great to see. It's a wonderful film. And I was reading comments by the producer on Twitter this week. He did a bit of a thread whereby he said that just how hard the film was to make, how much stress he was under, and how everything seemed to go wrong. And now, years after the film was made, 4 years after the film was made, it's having a second wind. It's having a second wind, and it's kind of trending. And he's absolutely thrilled with that. It just goes to show you, just because something comes out and not many people watch it, doesn't mean it's going to stay like that forever. So, if you have a favourite film and not many people are into it, just stick with it. Stick with it, because, films aren't designed to succeed immediately. So many films, so many great films have gathered momentum as years have gone by. The Last Voyage of Demeter is going out very nicely indeed. This, of course, is the Italian Blu-ray. As I've mentioned in the past, Entertainment One were meant to release this film in this country. Then they got taken over by Lionsgate or something, and the whole release schedule went to pot, and everything they were due to release didn't come out. Something like that. I'm sure you'll correct me if I'm wrong. So yeah, no Demeter in this country in any way. Not streaming either. So the only way my customers could watch it is if I got it in on an imported Blu-ray. And of course, thankfully, in Italy, they put an English language track on it. So that meant that could happen. And finally, for this week on loan, we have Resurrection. One of my customers, Jay, was in last night, and he was saying how he's kind of on a bit of a serial killer kick at the moment. Should I be scared of these people? He's on a serial killer kick at the moment and looking for riffs on seven riffs, and that's kind of my field of expertise. I wanted a commentary on a film whose name escapes me that had a serial killer riff on Seven, and I just went through the whole gamut of serial killer movies that existed from 95 through to 99, because there must have been 30 or 40 of them, which is just absolutely ridiculous. Just goes to show you that once Hollywood has a flavour of a success, then it just replicates and replicates and replicates. This was one, Resurrection, directed by the brilliant Russell Mulcahy and starring Christopher Lambert. It is the grimmest, harshest riff on Seven that you're likely to see, and it is an absolute piece of genius. I love this film to death, and I hope that Jay feels the same way. And that is it. That's this week's On Loan. Very cool indeed. Glad to see those going out. What's in the box? Well, let's fly through these. I just want to mention this one first and foremost. I'm still on the VHS hunt. It's cool to see the bug has bitten friends as well. I know Brian Sauer has been stocking up on VHS recently. Again, with the same remit of me, things that just won't come to DVD, or certainly hard to find on DVD. And this film, I've kind of got a soft spot for it, really. Stacey Dash, who you will know from Clueless, of course. She made Clueless in 95. Clueless wrapped. But before Clueless came out, and before it was a massive box office sensation, she made this, unbeknownst to the fact that Clueless would be a wild success. Of course, Clueless comes out, goes, haywire at the box office, and then a couple of weeks later, this comes out on VHS with Clueless star reveals all, which is just nutty. But it's trading on someone's success, isn't it? It's not the first time we've seen it. But it's not a bad little neo-noir. It's directed by Stu Seagal, who of course started out in pornography. I've got a couple of his pornos over there. Best known for the slasher film Drive-In Massacre, and also best known for creating the TV series Silk Stalkings. But yeah, this isn't a bad little thriller, to be honest, and I wrote an article for it on the Schlock Pit, which you might want to check out. Written, of course, by Noel Hind, who is a well-known author in America. Made some really interesting books. But yeah, Legal in Blue. Just one tape I saw. The price was crazy cheap, so I just had to get that because I love the tabloid-esque headline. Clueless star reveals all. Just absolutely crazy. Poor girl. But hey, we have Vinegar Syndrome. Now this is what I'm talking about. We talked about Severin last week and the fact that they've taken, I think it was 10 weeks in the end to send a parcel. 10 weeks. That's extraordinary, isn't it? Vinegar Syndrome got their order to me here by the 13th, Friday the 13th, which is their quickest order so far to arrive in the UK. Absolutely stunning. The new warehouse system, they're moving combining everything into one warehouse, really seems to be paying dividends, and they got this out in super quick time. Having said that, it's getting to September now. It's October in a couple of weeks. I'm kind of getting to the point where I have to debate whether I should go for a subscriber option again next year. It was my first year with subscriber option this year in Vinegar Syndrome, where you get everything Vinegar Syndrome and you get half price all the subsidiaries, partner labels, VSA, VSL, Melusine, that kind of thing. So I thought, we'll have a go for a year and we'll see what it's like. Whether I'm going to renew it, I don't know. Reason being, you're paying for stuff that you have no choice over. So you're paying in January for stuff that you will receive throughout the rest of the year, and you don't know what that is. So you're kind of paying your money in good faith that you'll get something that will be of interest to you. Howling 2, Your Sister is a Werewolf. I have no ill will towards this film. It's fine, but I have it on Blu-ray from Arrow Video. I don't need a UHD of this film in any capacity. I know I can sell it. I know I don't like kind of flipping films. I don't really like that. But, you know, so yeah, just one of those situations where you're like, well, yeah, okay, that's fine. But, and I've had a few of these situations this year where the Cynthia Rothrock films have duplicated stuff that Eureka released and stuff like that. And so I don't know. I'll see what October brings. And November, of course. And we'll make a decision then. But at the moment, I'm kind of at pains whether to renew. But we shall see. We shall see. But yeah, Howling 2 is in from Vinegar Syndrome. This is the Vinegar Syndrome parcel. And fine film. UHD. Completely unnecessary. Lamberto Bava's Delirium, another film put out on Blu-ray by 88 Films. The Blu-ray from 88 is perfectly adequate. I do not need to upgrade on that. But yet I have a UHD on Delirium. I know it's first world problems. It doesn't matter. But I'm just speaking out loud from when my decision comes to make that subscriber option, whether I should do it or not. And if next year it's going to be more duplicates, and whether it is just going to be a year of upgrading a UHD or two every month, then it's like, Delirium is great. It's a great movie. But the Blu-ray is fine. However, more exciting is this set from Vinegar Syndrome, which is Cruel Britannia. 3 killer thrillers from the UK. Yeah, interesting set. I already had Craze, which I think was put out by Nucleus here on DVD a couple of years ago. But the other two look absolutely fantastic. Yeah, they really do. And the most exciting thing... Actually, I wanted to check that. It's in the back, doesn't matter. Yeah, the most exciting thing is that the DVD of this, the DVD of Craze, has got an audio commentary on by David Dakota, our idol, and David Delval. Was that on the Nucleus DVD? I don't know. But nevertheless, the two films that come with Craze, Penny Gold and Crucible of Terror, both look very, very cool indeed. So this is a Vinegar Syndrome release that I'm very excited about, and I look forward to diving into that. As soon as I finish I'm on another commentary sabbatical, unfortunately, so I'm not allowed to watch any new movies that come out until I've got 2 more weeks of prep to do. I'm doing 2 commentaries for 88 Films for 2 of their films that are coming out next year. I'm really enjoying it because I love the films passionately. But it's a bit frustrating when you've got all these films and you can't take any of them home because you've got to be strict and you've got to stick to the plan. Speaking of Dave Dakota, I picked up a couple of Vinegar Syndrome. I've gradually been going through all my Vinegar Syndrome films, trying to work out once and for all what I haven't got from previous years and months. And I still didn't have this. I mean, this is Region A. That's why I'm only reluctant to buy it. I thought, well, I'll leave it. I won't buy the Region A just in case anyone like, I don't know, who would release this in this country. Maybe 101. In case anyone in this country released it, because I do like people to see these films. But of course, with it being Region A Blue, it kind of narrows that down. But Steel and Leaves was produced, of course, by David Dakota. It's a great revenge film. Absolutely amazing. And... yeah, pleased to have it, but sad that I can't stick it on the shelf because it's useless to most of my customers. And this is baffling, kind of one of the pivotal early Vinegar Syndrome films. Demonoid didn't have it. Such a wacky, cool, insane movie. But yeah, didn't have this at all. But now I do, so that's cool. Onto the partner labels. Couple this month that kind of piqued my interest. We have 2 very, very low budget, shot on video possibly, horror films from the Millennium era. We have Asylum of Terror, which kind of looks incredibly cheap, which is wonderful. Yeah, it's VHS Hitfest. Be careful how you say that. Calls it one of the best Halloween set slashers. Whether that's the case, I don't know. But it's made in 1998. It looks really interesting, to be honest. But yeah, very, very low budget. As is this one, which looks really interesting. It's called Flesh Freaks. How's that for a cover? Flesh Freaks is coming out from Saturn's Core again. I do like that label. It's filmed by Connell Pendergast, sorry. And it began when he was a teenager, and he went with his parents to Belize to attend a real-life Mayan archaeological dig. And he had a camera with him. So he just started to capture footage with his mini DV camera and then expanded it gradually into a film. So it looks absolutely bonkers insane. But yeah, really cool and really low budget. So I know a few people who would be really into that film. Speaking of low budget, I have finally cracked on the TerraVision side of things. TerraVision kind of was one of those labels where I just hummed and hawed over. It didn't convince me. A lot of their release descriptions weren't that great. They didn't have the region coding, which of course matters here. And just a few aspects of the whole setup I was a bit reluctant of whether to go for anyway. And now they've been established for quite some time. They're having a big warehouse sale because they're allegedly having to move warehouses. My instinct is I think they're having a little bit of a hard time because they do have a very, very niche catalogue of films, and I think sometimes things can be too niche. But still, big sale. So I picked up a dozen TerraVision titles, around about 13 quid each, including postage, which was a steal. Interesting blend of titles, and yeah, I will inform you in due course when they arrive, and we shall have a look at them together. Documentary here that I had to get. Been dying to see this for years. That guy, Dick Miller. Dick Miller, absolute hero, isn't he? What a character actor for so many years. And this is a documentary all about him, released by Dick Catalog. Another documentary. I've got this in on DVD, but I kind of wanted the Blu-ray cut. It's a very nice looking Blu-ray. Adjust Your Tracking, one of the best VHS collecting films you will see, full of interesting stories, anecdotes, and drool-inducing collection footage. So yeah, glad to get this and look forward to re-watching that sometime soon. And finally, we have a release from Something Weird, which is always cool. This is Blonde on a Bum Trip. She'll blow your mind, marks the caption. And yeah, it looks really, really interesting. They call it a grimy and spirited New York indie film produced by future exploitation legends Jack Bravman, who made Snuff, and Ed Adlam, who made Shriek of the Mutilated. And this one goes back to 1968. This is Blonde on a Bum Trip. And finally, a bit of porn, which I won't be displaying at any cost for fear of breaking the laws. We have Little Orphan Sammy, or The Erotic Adventures of Little Orphan Sammy, which comes on a double bill with The Little Blue Box. It's a Jennifer Wells double bill, and that one should be absolutely fantastic. So that is this week's new releases. We've got about 5 minutes left, so we're going to have a quick look at some comments. Not a vast array of comments this week, but I'll run through them very, very quickly indeed. Coffee Jesus says that their introduction to Mammoth, and one that absolutely gobsmacked isn't more popular, is Heist. Very quotable, stupendous cast, and as far as I can tell, it has just disappeared. It hasn't. It's here, under H. But yeah, I completely get what you mean. It is a film that's just disappeared, effectively. And it is an amazing film. Certainly one of top 5 David Mamet films, and that's a very well stocked top 5 with some absolute class. But yeah, Heist is excellent, and good reminder I must watch that again because I haven't seen it since it came out. But a brilliant film. 23 years old now. Good lord, where does time go? We Can Rebuild Him says that Red Sun absolutely blew my mind when I saw it on TV as a little kid. Red Sun, of course, came out on Blu-ray last week. A western with a samurai in it? Question mark. It seems so obvious. Yeah, absolute genius. I knew Dolan from Borsellino and Andrus from Dr. No, so it just seemed packed with stars. I've been afraid to rewatch it, fearing it won't live up to that memory. So I've got to get that Blu-ray. Yeah, you must. Raven Electra says, I got my Severin package on Tuesday. I generally didn't think it would be sent before the 11th, but the wait time is a joke. Yes, it is, Raven Electra. Should we do a live update on where it is? Should we do a live update on where it is? Is the tension too much? Let's see if it's left the US. Let's see if it's Wednesday the 18th of September today. Has it left the US? Is it finally heading? Oh no, still in Memphis, Tennessee. Still in Memphis, Tennessee, but still on course for Monday delivery. Let us cross our fingers. Moving on. Corey says, when I worked in a video store in 95, I had a lot of customers who didn't read the summaries on the box. It was frustrating to flip the box and give them a reading lesson. Yeah, this was a customer that complained next door last week because I was never open, despite holding a case with the opening times on. Only open for 49 hours a week. It's obviously not long enough. Terry Uller says, quite rightly, one thing I learned from being self-employed is that you'll never please everyone. You won't. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. He asked if I ever thought of installing a Dropbox. Yeah, but no, because there's other alternatives. There's other alternatives for people to return their films. And because I don't have, a strict return policy, because people can pretty much drop a film back off when they finish with it, then it kind of negates the need for one. But always bear that in mind. Oh, that's right. And Graham Reed mentioned, obviously, Snips, the sounds of Snips that we had last week. No more sound. Oh, I have got a new record in. But yeah, I won't. I'll spare you opening that live on camera. Graham asked if I ever stop music releases on DVD to rent. And I kind of do, but it's primarily all documentary themed. So I think there's a Foo Fighters documentary. I think there's a Scott Walker documentary. There's about 10 or 20 music orientated documentaries. But yeah, I'll dig them out maybe next week if there's more time, and we'll have a little look through them. Because I do love music themed stuff. But in respect to live gigs, I don't really have much on that. I tend to stick to documentaries. Just from a personal point of view, I find them more interesting. I'll watch a documentary on a band I don't necessarily like, just because I find music documentaries so fascinating. Right, we're pretty much nearly done. I think we're going to have a quick Sleeping Giant. As you know, these are all films that aren't streaming in the UK, which is outrageous. We're coming into Halloween territory soon. The Halloween decorations are all in the shops. So I thought we'd have a couple of horror films for the next couple of weeks to have a think of. These are all recommendations. They're not universally acclaimed, but they're all not streaming. So whether you're on eBay or the second-hand market, I would definitely recommend picking some of these up second-hand, just in case they never come to streaming, because they're all films I think deserve your attention. First one is, in my estimation, one of the best Stephen King adaptations of anything he's written. It stars Miguel Ferrer, and it is, of course, The Night Flyer. The Night Flyer, brilliant vampire story. I thought it was a really, really well-made film. Who directed it? That was Mark Pavia. Effective, and Miguel Ferrer is brilliant in the lead role. Much missed actor. Needed to see him in more lead roles because he was a really great character actor. And yeah, The Night Flyer is very, very cool indeed. I love that film. I think it's great. Secondly, I know the director of this film, Jeremy Saulnier, is it? I know his film, something Ridge, Rebel Ridge, that's just come to a streaming service that we won't mention. His latest film has, that's a new one, and to pretty much universal acclaim. I think, of course, his recent films have been met with universal acclaim too, like Blue Ruin. This, though, early film of his, Murder Party, an absolute riot. I love this film. Absolutely brilliant. Bit of comedy, bit of terror, bit of an essential watch, in all honesty. Not streaming in the UK. I don't know if that's the same in the US, but it deserves you to have a look at it because it's excellent, excellent fun. And again, just disappeared. Finally, this one, yeah, less acclaim than the others, but I think it's a really interesting film. Territory is kind of about a group of kids who are trekking across the border from Canada to the States. They get kidnapped and tortured. It's got a bit of a social and political angle going on. Some people weren't too happy about that, but I thought it was great. I thought it was a really interesting horror film. I think it dates from about 2010, maybe. But yeah, Territory is not streaming in the UK, and I think it deserves a watch. I think it's a really interesting and timely film. So yeah, that is this week's Sleeping Giants. 3 films that are not streaming in the UK. Murder Party, The Night Flyer, and Territories, and in my estimation, they're all worth your time. And speaking of time is up. Try to make things a little bit crisper and cleaner today, less faffing. And yeah, that is it. It's an exciting week to come with an article in the mainstream press, with more merch gradually drifting in for a trial, and also hopefully Severin. We're due a full moon, and now we're due a TerraVision delivery as well. And of course, we've got next week's boutique arrivals from Indicator and the BFI. So very exciting 7 days to come, and you will find out about it all in 7 days' time on this show. And I will see you next week.